Hey, what's going on, guys? Running Turkey here. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since I've made a video on YouTube. Last year I was playing Legends of Runeterra. This year I've gotten into Sorcery Contested Realm. It's a new game that came out a couple of months ago, primarily on like tabletop on paper, but you can find games online on Tabletop Simulator. If you like go on the Discord, the community's pretty engaging and it's not too hard to find games. I've been really enjoying it, either like casually with my friends or online. And I've been itching for content, but most of the content I see on YouTube is either like box openings or podcasts. And I just want like the gameplay commentary format. That's the kind of stuff I like to watch. And I'm kind of hoping to fill the void for the time being. And so I'm taking my shot at it. And I want to show you guys kind of my pride and joy right now, this deck I built. I'm calling it Spiritual Journey, because the avatar is Pathfinder and the whole deck is like a spirit tribal. I'm going to go into this assuming you know the basics of sorcery, as in like you know what an avatar and like what minions are. Pathfinder is the avatar for this deck. He's very unique because he demands that your atlas is completely singleton. You have like just one copy of every site. He doesn't let you draw sites during setup, but in exchange, he will play your sites for you from your atlas. You tap him to play your topmost site on the atlas, and he'll move there. It has to be adjacent to him or on top of him, but he'll move there after. And what this does is it means you'll never have to draw a site for the entire game. And not just you won't have to draw a site, but you'll be able to play a site for turn, like every turn. And you can really get ahead on mana than your opponent. And that matters a lot for playing spirits, because the top end for spirits is very big. We have like 2 6-drops with Ghost Ship and Nimbus Djinn. Ultimate Horror is an 8-drop, and Lord of the Void, I'm pretty sure, is the most expensive minion in the game at 9 mana. So it's really important to make sure that like we're hitting these thresholds. And Pathfinder is gonna give you the easiest time of doing so. Recently, in the last month, there was a rules change with auras, and Evil Presence was a really big benefactor of this change. Basically, auras now affect voids. So Evil Presence, it doesn't even really work the way it reads anymore, because it says you can summon spirits to affected sites on the card, but you can summon them to the void now. And then when you summon a spirit, you give it charge, and you return Evil Presence to its owner's hand. This is great for a card like Ghost Ship, where it's a spirit with Void Walk, so you can summon it in the void. And whenever it enters a site from the void, you can summon a spirit from any cemetery to its location. So what this rules change means for Evil Presence in Ghost Ship is that you can summon your Ghost Ship into a void affected by Evil Presence, and then it will have charge, so it can move that turn, and it can enter a site that turn, and then you can summon a spirit from any cemetery to Ghost Ship's location. So what spirits are we trying to recur with Ghost Ship? Well, the big one is going to be Ultimate Horror, who's like an 8-drop with Airborne and Voidwalk, and he's got Genesis, summon each other dead Voidwalk minion to a nearby site or void. So there's a lot of overlap with Voidwalk and spirits. You can see Ultimate Horror is a Voidwalk spirit, as is Ghost Ship, as is Lord of the Void. We also have Wills of the Wisp and Headless Haunt, are all Voidwalk spirits. And on top of that, we also just have like non-spirit Voidwalkers, Hounds of Ondaros, and Phantom Steed. Yeah, Ultimate Horror is like the big one, because you can recur him with the Ghost Ship, and then he'll recur like the rest of your cemetery, and you just like you get this very overwhelming barrage of units just like swarming the board. Nimbus Jin is another great spirit with evil presence. He doesn't have Voidwalk, so the rules change doesn't affect him so much. But his ability, he's a 6 mana 4 power unit with Airborne, and he has an ability that lets you discard a spell to deal 3 damage to another random unit here. So, and this is not like once per turn. As long as you have spells to discard, you can keep doing it. So you can play an evil presence right over the opposing avatar's head, summon down the Nimbus Jin, crash in for 4, and then you discard like 3 spells or whatever. That's 9 damage plus your 4 from the swing, and it's like that's 13 damage on a turn. And it's very easy to just like surprise people with a very quick like Death's Door with Nimbus Jin. We're going to just kind of go down the curve here and talk about like the spirits or like the standout units. Wills of the Wisp are 1-drops with 1 power and Voidwalk. And whenever they're attacked, they can teleport to a nearby void or location to evade the attack. So these guys are very good at protecting your avatar or your sites, because you can defend with them. It says when they're attacked, they don't have to be declared as the attack target. You can just defend with them, and then they'll teleport to a nearby void or location. They work great with Pathfinder because like when this happens, you teleport them like ahead of Pathfinder to like the next site he's gonna go to, and then on your turn they'll untap and they'll be there like ready to defend again. And in matchups where we have to be like a little bit faster, you can use them for chip damage because they have Voidwalk. You can just summon them like right next to the opposing avatar. Just start swinging in for 1. And this is a triggered ability. So even if they're tapped because they attacked, if they try to attack back, you'll get to teleport and evade the attack. And it requires like a card to get rid of these guys, or at the very least like a unit ability. Like Violent will do the trick, and I guess that's maybe like best case scenario for the opponent. But yeah, they're just kind of like, they're just tricky guys that are low on the mana curve, very flexible for like kind of whatever matchup you might be facing, and they kind of check both the boxes that they're Voidwalk and spirits. Grim Reaper is like one of the best spirits. He's one of the best units in the game. You play him in things that aren't even spirit tribal, but he's 2 mana 1 power with lethal, and whenever he kills a minion, you banish that minion and all copies. You search the cemetery, hand, and spellbook when you do so. He's great against Death Speaker because Death Speaker loves to like recur things in their graveyard. Like if you can kill a wizard and you banish all of their wizards, you just shut down a lot of card draw from Death Speaker. And Death Speaker's like the deck to beat right now in the meta. So I mean, I think this guy's like necessary in any spirit deck. He can be recurred with the Ghost Ship, and he can actually, a lot of like, it's very well known, the classic Grim Reaper plus Grapple Shot to like get him like killing something the turn you play him. It kind of works the same way with Evil Presence. You can give him charge, and then your opponent has no chance to like respond to a Grim Reaper. Your Grim Reaper will usually die in the trade, unlike with Grapple Shot, but again, we have ways to recur him, so I don't mind that too much. Headless Haunt is 3 mana 4 power, a very good rate for a unit with Voidwalk. At the start of your turn, he teleports to a random site or void. It's not that bad, I've learned, like playing with him. In the mid game, it's very good odds that you'll be able to like swing in somewhere random for 4 damage, or defend have a good defense and like stonewall your opponent a little. It is completely random. You can low roll, but that's kind of why we're not playing the full set. We just got the 2 of them. They check both the boxes, just like the Wills. They're Voidwalk spirits, so I gotta put some of them there somewhere. We got Ruler of Thule, who, this guy is like an absolute like unit. 4 mana, 3 power, and charge. He's at the floor, that alone, he's like a Petrosian cavalry, and you can play him and, I don't know, clean up the board a little. You can just like take care of a little 2 power minion and like move on. He also is an Anthem and he's like, he gives the polar bears effect to your entire team. Allies can move as if the top and bottom edges of the realm were connected. Other allies occupying sites there have +1 power. The top and bottom edges of the realm, that's literally half of the realm. This guy buffs your units like on half of the realm. That is a big area, and is kind of really nice with the void walk stuff, because like your wills, you can play them on turn 1 right next to your opposing avatar. If you had the ruler of Thule, they have like +2 power because they'll be like on your avatar, on the enemy avatar's row. He sets up really big swings in the late game. If you have like units on your bottom row, your opponent never really like suspects this, and just like your wills become 2 power, your pilgrims become 2 power. Like just he buffs everything, makes so much more like attacks possible, and the fact that he has charge too, like he can get in there after the fact and just like push another 3. Really, really good card. If you're like in water, I think he just like goes in the deck. Hounds of Ondaros are void walkers, and they're also airborne and burrowing and submerged. These guys are kind of like keyword soup. 5 mana, 4 power, keyword soup, and nearby enemies permanently lose stealth. This is a pretty big deal in a meta with infiltrate running around. And also stealth got buffed in the rules change too, so you might see like more people like experimenting with stealth. But they have good synergy with the ultimate horror. These guys are really formidable, to be honest. Very tough to get rid of. With you can't bury them, you can't submerge them. 4 power, like they are tough. They're tough to get rid of, but I realized that if Ghost Ship ever gets infiltrated by my opponent, I have no way of like getting that Ghost Ship back, or like honestly dealing with it. Ghost Ship doesn't need to attack to be like a good unit. You can just constantly like trigger its ability over and over again, and it's any cemetery. So if your opponent infiltrates it, they can just start getting your spirits out of your cemetery. So I really wanted an answer to infiltrate, and I think Hounds was the best answer for this deck. Honestly, even if I wasn't afraid of infiltrate, I would probably just keep one of them still, just because they are really good units. 1 copy of Vampire for the life gain in aggro matchups, but I don't know, I'm kind of on thin ice with her right now. I think I might go for a 3rd Phantom Steed, but we'll see. The life gain is really nice. I covered these 2 and the horror. Lord of the Void isn't really like a win condition in this deck. He's really nice if you discard him with Nimbus Djinn and you can like get him for free with like Ghost Ship or Ultimate Horror. That's awesome. He can just slowly choke your opponents out of the game and like just mess with their mana. And against like another like slower controlled deck, he might be like the backbreaker in the matchup. So I don't know if he's like totally a keep, but I've been playing with him for now, and I kind of like him. I also just wanted like 1 extra late game bomb. Like I just like you won't see Ultimate Horror every game, and so I just was like, you know, Lord of the Void is like kind of up there too. For the magics, we got 4 blinks. This is like, you know, a great ordinary card, very typical in Pathfinder too, because it just teleports nearby and then it cantrips. You get to draw a card, so it stops Pathfinder from getting like walled in. It makes sure that you can keep moving and playing sites. 2 polymorphs. I really like polymorph. It's 2 mana, it's hard removal, and it even banishes, which is again great against Death Speaker, because you can like banish a Grandmaster Wizard, they'll never get to play it again. 2 disenchants, because there are some matchups where having a disenchant just means you win the game, and I want those free wins. We're not in Earth. Sadly, I intentionally did not go Earth here so that I'm better into Avatar of Earth. Otherwise, I would probably be running Common Sense, and I would go to 1 disenchant. But we're on 2 disenchant because, again, we just want those free wins against the Immortal Throne, against Battle Mage, Enchantress. 1 flanking maneuver, kind of has 5th blink. It's also like bigger blink. You go further, you can move multiple things. But it's just one more mobility spell to, again, make sure we're not getting walled in and that we can keep playing our sites. And one Poison Nova is kind of like the second Atlantean Fate. Atlantean Fate, again, is like another staple in water. I think if you're like playing water, you got to be playing Atlantean Fate. Is kind of like it's like a, not exactly a board wipe, but it kills things in an area. And very good against Avatar of Earth in particular, where they run a lot of 5-power units. Our units don't really go above 4. We've got the Vampires, the Hounds, the Haunts. Those are all 4. Ghost Ship goes to 5, but I don't really want to trade my Ghost Ship with a Dalcian Phalanx. Nimbus Jin is 4, and like it's like Ultimate Horror is 6, but he's an 8-drop, and so if you're trying to like retake the board against Avatar of Earth with Ultimate Horror, you're probably dead before you get to play it. So the Poison Nova and the Atlantean Fate will help us deal with all the 5-power units that are in the Avatar of Earth deck. And then the Atlas isn't really too crazy. What I will say with Pathfinder, we're in 3 colors here, and with Pathfinder, just playing off the top, what you get for attunement is like what you get. You're not really in control of how your attunement plays out, which is why the big majority of this deck is in air, and like half of the Atlas is air. So we should be covered in terms of playing our air spells. We have about 7 water sites, and we don't have too many water spells. We have 6. But most of them cost 2 attunement. Only Ghost Ship requires 1. So that's why we have more water than fire, is because most of our water spells require the 2. It's worth noting that with Floodplain, you can flood your own site and make it a water site for the turn. And so Floodplain alone can give you the 2 water attunement that you need for water spells. Floodplain in general is just like a very tricky site. There's a lot of cool things you can do with it. And then 5 fire sites, where we only have the 7 fire spells, and all of them are 1 attunement. So once you hit 1 fire site, you are in the clear. River of Flame can help you cast Poison Nova too, so that's really good. I don't know if there's anything else to really like cover here. Cloud City's really good if you can hit it. Just being able to move, like, you can put your Pathfinder on it, fly it around, and like, you know, open up new avenues to go to. Yeah, I think the Atlas pretty, not too much to say just beyond the attunement stuff. So I recorded some games, and I'm gonna like replay them and go over commentary, like watching the replay with you guys. I didn't wanna like talk live in game how my older videos went, because playing this on Tabletop Simulator, you're usually like in a Discord channel with your opponent, and I just figured it would be kind of weird and also just very revealing of like what my hand looks like and what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna try this out of like recording the games and then like going over them later. Let me know what you guys think of that, and if you like it, and if you like have any suggestions. Alright, so we're getting into game 1 with our opponent over here. He is playing Avatar of Earth. I believe we're rolling to see who goes first here, and we're gonna look at our starting hands. We see Hounds, Evil Presence, and Atlantean Fate. I'm gonna choose to mulligan the Hounds and the Evil Presence and keep the Atlantean Fate, because the potential board wipe will be nice later on. We're going to draw 2 to replace those 2 cards. You see Polymorph and Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship we'd like to be seeing later. Polymorph kind of feels good to have, but we kind of are going to want the water attunement for it. We got a River of Flame, and we pass to our opponent. We mulled the Evil Presence because we run like 3 of them in the deck. I don't want to draw too many of them. I feel pretty confident about seeing a second one later on. We drew a Blink for turn, and we see our opponent is playing Bedrocks. And we draw Nimbus Djinn. We're going to tap Pathfinder to flip a site. We see Dark Tower. And we're going to put that on the bottom edge. It's very important against Avatar of Earth. Don't play on your front row if you can help it. I mean, as Pathfinder, I like to like go around the world anyways, so it just kind of works out naturally for us. And all 3 bedrocks. Opponent is not letting their sites be destroyed, moved, or modified. That's for sure. We're going to untap and draw for turn. Second Nimbus Djinn. Our hand is very top heavy right now. And as we see a Mountain Pass, I believe we should put that in the corner. I like to just go straight for the corner. It turns I never talked about these in the deck tech, but the Wayfaring Pilgrims, once you have the corner down, you can just sort of cantrip them, get a card draw and a potential other card draw later on. Feels good. It's like kind of like playing Wizard without playing Wizard for Death Speaker. Then our opponent plays a site and then plays Pudge Butcher for 4 mana. And that's one of the, those 5 power units that I was talking about. Those very scary 5 power units that are in Avatar of Earth deck. We're going to untap, draw for turn. We see a Poison Nova. That's pretty good. Remote Desert. We get to ping the Pudge Butcher with the Remote Desert. Not that it does anything. And then we have 4 mana available. Like, not much to cast. We have like 3 6-drops. No attunement for the Atlantean Fate for any of our water spells. It is looking like we could next turn like just fire off Poison Nova and like kill the Pudge Butcher if that's something we want to do. I mean, we kind of is looking like we might, because right now, no matter which way we go, we're going into the Pudge Butcher. Opponent plays a Lighthouse on tile 11 and plays Dalcian Phalanx right there. So they're another 5 power unit, and I think now this Poison Nova is looking really good. We're going to untap, draw for turn, and we see a Pilgrim. That's always good. We're going to tap the Pathfinder, flip an Updraft Ridge, move over here, and I think getting a 2-for-1 on this Poison Nova and clearing up these 5 power units just is a phenomenal play for the turn. And then we're going to pass to our opponent, who untaps, draws a site. And then they could close, they could like wall me in if they play on top of their bedrock. But instead they play a Rift Valley, and they actually cut off our River of Flame and play Maddening Bells. So Maddening Bells there is going to tax my mana, and that makes the Rift Valley kind of make a little sense now, because they like played on, well, actually they could have played on tile 8 and not affect themselves with the bells, but those bells right there are solely affecting me. And so it's a good placement. Continue to move, play a tower. Still no water attunement, which feels like really bad, man. Right now we're being taxed. All of our spells cost 2 more because of these Maddening Bells. So I'm thinking about what to do. And it looks like we're just going to cantrip with the Pilgrim. We're going to draw a card because he's entering a corner. And we might make an effort to get him to another corner later and draw more. Picking up Highland Princess is really nice. Unfortunately, because of these bells, we can't play her this turn. But she'll be able to search out an Aquamarine Core, and then we can get one of our water attunements that we need. And it is our opponent's turn. They have no sights in hand. 3 spells. They play a Grandmaster Wizard using all of their mana. That's going to let them draw 3. And I believe they pick up the bells with the wizard. And then they move the Avatar of Earth up too. So now she's looking to get aggressive. Right now, yeah, she's got like 4 Earth sites around her. But if she moves up again, the 2 Bedrocks in the back won't be near her. And that would reduce her power just a little bit. Part of me kind of wants to attack this wizard, but that doesn't get rid of the bells at all. So I think it's better to just continue playing sites. We might just have to deal with this mana tax. And I mean, we're just going to have to play enough sites so that it doesn't matter. And Pathfinder can do that. Pathfinder is good for that. And now we have 6 mana. We're going to play a floodplain. So there we go. Now we don't even need the Highland Princess. We can just flood a site to get 2 water attunement. But looking at our hand, we can't play our 6 drops. We need 8 mana because of these bells. We have the Headless Haunt for 5. And the Princess. I don't really want to blink for 4. Blink in place and cantrip. That's not really it. I think the move is we play Princess, find a core. We can even play the core this turn because we'll have 3 mana left. And just continue to like accelerate our mana and just like force through these bells. Just like have so much mana, it doesn't even matter that we're paying 2 more. I believe we're searching for the Aquamarine core. At this point, it doesn't really matter, though. That floodplain was exactly what we needed for a water site. But, yeah, we grabbed the Aquamarine core for good measure. And we can play it for 3, and that would be all of our mana for the turn. And we pass. Opponent draws a spell. Looks like they're checking the site we're on. We are on a water site. It's very important thinking about whether you're on water or land, so that for not that you can really bury avatars and whatnot, but opponent's deciding whether he wants to move these wizards. It seems he's following me around with the bells, right? That's what he's doing. He's making sure that I continue to be taxed. I never moved my Pilgrim last turn, and maybe I should have. But I think we're so far, I'm not even like in position to hit another corner. The opponent's probably never going to play his corners. I don't think, I maybe just should have moved him into like a better battle position or whatnot. But an opponent plays Polar Explorers, so he's doing some crazy top bottom stuff, and then he swings at me with the Avatar of Earth, and she has 3 nearby Earth sites plus her 1 base power. She deals 4 damage to me there. And then we're gonna untap and we're gonna draw, and we're gonna play a site with Pathfinder. Get an Oasis. And now what I'm thinking is I can cast Avatar of Earth is on my site right now. And even though I don't have Evil Presence, I can just summon a Nimbus Djinn to my site. And then you count up, I have a lot of cards in hand, dude. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 cards in hand. I can play a Djinn and have 8. And then if I discard 7, I can deal 21 damage straight to that Avatar of Earth this turn and put them on an instant death's door. Now, the one thing I'm thinking is, what do I keep? Because I really like this Atlantean Fate. But I start going for it. I discard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 spells to deal 3 damage each time to the Avatar of Earth, doing 21 and putting them straight on death's door. And then I have a little mishap here where I ended up picking up the site that these cards are on. So I hit the wrong button, and then they got into it, and then we played 52 card pickup with them. You hold Alt and then right click to drop the bottom card, which you'll see like that, right? And then that Updraft Ridge, I don't know what happened, but it became huge. And the card I kept, you may see, is Ultimate Horror, because, well, I discarded a Ghost Ship and 2 Headless Haunts in that play. So I can play a site next turn and have 10 mana, and then I'll be able to cast Ultimate Horror even if I'm taxed with the bells. And Ultimate Horror will bring back those 3 minions, the Ghost Ship and the 2 Haunts. And the Ghost Ship on a later turn would even be able to bring back something else maybe. I know there is a second Nimbus Djinn over there. So we pass to the opponent. He immediately walks back onto his bedrock, as he should. I'm feeling really good right now. He does play an Earthquake and is pretty solid. It's going to clear my Djinn, clear my Princess. He can rearrange these sites if he chooses to. Makes sense. He brings the Rift Valley, his site, closer to his Avatar so that I can't play. I could play something like with Charge and, like, you know. Looks like he goes for the offensive with these Polar Explorers. Going to deal 4 total. 2, like, for each of them. And then that was it. So I'm going to draw. See a Ghost Ship. We love that. At this stage with Filled Cemetery, we love to see the Ghost Ship. But I think we always knew what we were doing here. We're going to play a site, get to 10 mana. And then, yeah, now we're moving the Pilgrim. But again, it doesn't matter. Put him on the desert. And then 10 mana. Boom. Ultimate Horror. We're going to search our cemetery. And I believe it was the 2 Haunts and the Ghost Ship. And we can summon them anywhere nearby the Horror. So we put the Ghost Ship in the corner, in the void, so that he can enter a site. And we're gonna put the Haunts there, kind of defensive, I suppose. They'll be able to like block for us now against these Polar Explorers, and we are threatening the Avatar of Earth from like 2 angles with this Horror and the Haunt on the right. And we got this Ghost Ship for backup. And these Haunts too, they'll teleport next turn too, and like you never know what's gonna happen then. So opponent's really thinking about how to get out of this. He's got 6 mana up, 5 cards in hand. He decides he wants to continue pushing some damage. And then he plays a Stone Gaze Gorgons, who disable adjacent minions and minions on its site. So my haunts are now disabled. So is his wizard, not that it matters. And he's pretty safe. He's pretty safe with those Gorgons. But okay, he like kind of takes a step back. He moves his wizard first, so that his wizard is fine. Then he attacks for another 2 with these explorers. They're out of the range of the Gorgons. And then he even moves the Avatar of Earth onto the Gorgons as well. And this was like the risk of the Nimbus Djinn play. I had an Atlantean Fate. I had Polymorph in my hand. I don't have removal for these Gorgons right now. Ultimate Horror is airborne, and he can attack diagonally, but you're not airborne in the void. So he actually can't do a diagonal attack right now. If I move him to the right or below, he gets disabled by the Gorgons. He's actually like in a really good spot. I do like this Phantom Steed, by the way. I kind of missed covering it on the deck tech, but you can pick up the Pilgrim with Phantom Steed, and then he gets more movement and Void Walk, so he can go into corners that aren't played. The Phantom Steed having Void Walk too is like the glue that holds that makes the Pilgrim like kind of cute in this deck. I really like it. So what I decided to do is I'm gonna flip a Ruins right there, and now Ultimate Horror is out of the void, and he can attack diagonally because he's airborne. And at this point we got into a bit of a rules kerfuffle because the term at rest Stonegaze Gorgons uses, they took that out of the rule book with the recent update, and they never like filled it in on the FAQs. So I was under the impression that at rest meant a unit not in the middle of resolving an ability. And he was not under that impression. So if I was correct, then Ultimate Horror resolving an attack would not be disabled because he's not at rest until the attack resolved, in which case the Gorgons would be dead. But if it were how he was interpreting it, the Ultimate Horror would be disabled as soon as it entered the site, and like the attack would fizzle, the Gorgons would live, and I would really be in a pinch because again, we discarded a Polymorph, we discarded a Atlantean Fate, we've used a Poison Nova. The only like other removal spell in this deck is one other Polymorph. So it's like he'd be pretty safe on those Gorgons until I drew a last Polymorph. I believe we decide to roll for it. See a lot of movement here because I'm talking about like going back, like, hey, let's like redo it, and you know we can play it, and then he's just like, hey, let's roll for it. We do a D6. I'm 4 through 6. He's 1 through 3. And I get a 4, so we're gonna play it how I interpreted it, in which case that will be game because the Gorgons are dead, and then the haunts can swing in. And interestingly, because the haunt was disabled, it never had to teleport at the start of the turn. And at this point, we're just kind of like talking about the card, and I really did not have an answer for those Gorgons. Yeah, and then I brought up Root Spider because I was like, Root Spider doesn't say at rest, like, right? But it doesn't, like, it was a good game. I'm glad I won the dice roll because I discarded all of my stuff. And we're going to get into game 2 in just a bit. All right, we're getting into game number 2 here against the same opponent. I can't remember if he switched the deck or not. He's still in Avatar of Earth. But we're playing the same deck, of course. We're keeping this entire hand. I really like it. We got the Ruby Core on 1 for some ramp and the Secure the Fire attunement. Atlantean Fate comes back again. We love that. We actually get the River of Flames, same as last game. Kind of makes the Ruby Core, like, we don't need the Fire attunement anymore. But still good to just be ahead on mana. And the Grim Reaper, who's just a phenomenal unit. Happy to have that. He can actually trade with a 5-power unit and whatnot, despite being only 1 power because he has lethal. We're gonna untap and draw for turn. Opponent played an Aqueduct, and then we're gonna flip a Lone Tower. We're gonna kind of continue the same strat as last game. We're gonna play into a corner. We want to have turn those Pilgrims on to cantrip. And just kind of carve a path out for ourselves. We got the Hounds in our opening hand. We do love to see those guys. Just a very formidable unit, like I said. Opponent drew a Sight for turn, it looks like, and is contemplating what to do. Or maybe they drew a Sight for turn last time. That's what it was. Well, they drew a spell for turn this turn. Okay, and they're going to tap. They're actually going to play a Cornerstone and kind of just not let me have that corner. And I got to say, I was not expecting that. Not that it's like a big deal. Like, I still have plenty of avenues here. We flip an Arid Desert, but I'm just a little like, what the heck? I almost go to play this Headless Haunt, and then I realize I only have 1 air attunement, so I can't actually play the Haunt. And instead, I just, let my opponent know that I have it. And, really, can't cast anything in my hand right now. We got 3 fire attunement and 1 air, so we just pass turn. Sure enough, we'll get the air attunement. Still, like, kind of hosed on the water, though. Opponent decides to play a Bedrock off of that Cornerstone, so he's really starting to come into my side of the realm. I don't know, I don't feel too good about that. And then he plays a Frontier Settlers and passes. And we get a Disenchant. That's kind of dead in this matchup, but it is what it is. And then off the top we get a Lighthouse. That's really good because that's going to give us our 2 air that we need and also 1 water. So we're on the way to being able to cast our water spells. And with the 2 air, basically everything except the Lord of the Void can be cast in air. And then having 5 mana, I think the best thing to do here is be efficient with our mana and cast Hounds. Thinking about where to place him, I was contemplating the Lighthouse, and then I kind of remembered like all of the keywords that I was afraid of, like getting buried on the desert, but it's like he has Burrowing, he also has Submerge. It doesn't really matter where I place him, except that on this desert here, he's able to defend all of my sites, and he can attack any of my opponent's sites, even if he decides to play a site on what is that, 13, like in front of his avatar. With the Airborne, I could even attack there. So this Hound's just like front and center in the middle of all of it, and you can't bury him, you can't mess with him really at all. So that Aqueduct was played through the Frontier Settlers, not the Avatar ability, and he's actually switching it up right there. It looks like he originally went for 13, but decided to go 19. And then he still has a site to play for his Avatar ability, which is another Rift Valley. And again, like kind of separating my River of Flame. And then he's going to play Earthquake to shift these sites around. And this was actually a really good play. He just moves me. Like he buries my hounds, but they they don't die because they have burrowing. But like I don't have a blink in hand, right? I don't have a flanking maneuver. In fact, flanking maneuver actually wouldn't work because I don't have a Chess Knight's move to make. But I have to just move next turn. I actually can't play a site. So that Earthquake is really gonna slow me down. As we draw another Headless Haunt. I think the first thing is just get this Hounds back on the surface. And then we just gotta move with Pathfinder. And then we'll play a Haunt. And we'll pass. We'll hold on to the Grim Reaper. We could have played it in addition to the Haunt, but I don't want it to get removed. I'd like to play it like with an Evil Presence or something and like get value out of its ability. Opponent untaps and draws a spell. They have no sights in hand right now. I think it looks pretty good for them to tap and draw one. They're not really doing anything else with their Avatar. And they got this Pudge Butcher. Now, if he had played it like on that Cornerstone, that would have been like really scary or something. He plays it on his Avatar though, and then draws a sight like I thought he would. And then we get a Pilgrim. We love that, but we don't control that Cornerstone. So we can't play him there, and that really sucks. And we're going to roll the Haunt, which I should have done before I drew. But, you know, always remember, like, start of turn abilities happen before you draw. Headless Haunt went to tile 20, and that put him in a position to attack those Frontier Settlers. So I go for that, and I kill his Settlers. Gonna continue just moving Pathfinder, not playing sites. That Earthquake slowed me down 2 turns now. And then we attack. We use the Airborne to go diagonal with the Hounds and attack him for 4 on Rift Valley. And then we're just gonna play the second Haunt because like we got the mana to do it. When you can like get in for 4 damage, like we just got in for 4 damage with the Hounds, it's a pretty big deal. You only need 5 instances of 4 damage to put them to death's door. And we pass to our opponent. They drew a spell for turn. I didn't know, I totally like forgot that, I don't know if I would have done it had I remembered, but attacking with the Settler, or attacking the Settlers with the Haunt, put him in range of the Pudge Butcher. So he got to get my Haunt for free with the Pudge Butcher. And that felt a little bad. Looks like he's going to play a Lighthouse up there. So he's like really building off this column. He's kind of keeping our areas separated, although he is like playing into mine. And then he goes Sisters of Silence, which actually kind of like tells me a lot about his deck. Like he's playing minions that have bad stuff in the text box, and then Sisters of Silence is there to make them better. So I actually really want that Sisters dead, because it kind of just tells me like, I feel like that's kind of like a build around card, you know what I mean? And so if you're building around that, I don't want you to have it. And I play on that tower. I get to cantrip with my Pilgrim. Getting the tower was great because that gave me an extra mana for the turn, which means playing that Pilgrim puts me at 5 mana. And I can drop these vampires. But I got to think about where I want to put them. Those sisters right now are silencing my hounds. So it doesn't have airborne. It doesn't have any of its abilities. It's just a 4-power unit. Oh, and again, yeah, I never rolled for my haunt. That was a big whoopsie from me. He goes to tile 17. That's a bit of a do-nothing. I don't want to attack. He is, like, tapped, and I could hit his site, but it would just open it up for Pudge Butcher death, and I don't want to do that. I'm thinking... Yeah, I want to play these vampires to go after the sisters. And I think the best way to do that is to corner them. So I'm thinking about moving the hounds. I'm realizing that I can be buried. My hounds can be buried right now, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm thinking about moving them to the lighthouse. But I don't control that Rift Valley. And so if I move them on the lighthouse, they can just walk away on their turn. They can move on to the bedrock. So I decide to attack the bedrock. I'll risk getting buried. They take 12. And then I play my vampire on the lighthouse. And now these sisters are cornered, essentially. They can move up because the hounds are tapped. But and both of these units have lost their airborne. So they're not as good at... They can't move diagonally is a big deal. But if they don't have removal for these two, I feel pretty good that I kill these sisters next turn. And anyways, after that, I passed my opponent. They drew a spell. And they're thinking about what to do. They go to move the sisters up. And then they play Frontier Settlers. Essentially, it looks like to chump block. They're just trying to keep these sisters alive. And they want to. And it will, because my vampire, she can't go diagonal right now. The haunt rolls to 13. And yeah, kind of a do-nothing spot. Drawing Blink off the top actually is great for us. These hounds can attack the Frontier Settlers. Well, they'll attempt to attack the sisters. He blocks with the Settlers. But then I can Blink the vampire onto the sisters and then attack. And that does the trick. And then I get to cantrip with the Blink and draw a card. And we get a Pilgrim who, you know, that's another cantrip. We're just going to keep cycling these guys. We're going to get that Pilgrim moving too. We're on a mission here. And then we're going to Pathfind. And like, yeah, get a remote desert. The desert pings itself in this case. I actually had to like give it a check because I was like, wait, do I have to kill one of my pilgrims here? And no, the desert can like ping itself. And so my pilgrims are fine. We drew a polymorph from that pilgrim. Again, we only have one water attunement, so we're hurting. We wanna get more water. But we're finally back in a spot where we can play lands. I mean, it took us so long to that earthquake really slowed us down. Opponent here, he's at 6 mana. He could like play a site on top of my haunt and pudge it. I maybe should have moved him just to prevent that. He plays Magellan Globe though, for 2 mana. I believe Magellan Globe is 2 mana, and I like am loving that because that just makes it so easy for the pilgrims to get around and hit corners. I mean, I kind of get like what it does with the Pudge Butcher, and I'm sure he's got like some other units that it interacts with. And then he plays like the cornerstone there, and I'm like, oh, dude, that pilgrim, he's just going straight up, down. He can even go left. Like, it don't matter. Yeah, okay, but he doesn't move it. Yeah. So yeah, he played the globe, but then he plays Earthquake, and he plays Earthquake like on these edges here, those left and right edges. So again, he's moving me around and slowing down my mana, and he's gonna kill that Pilgrim. He'll kill my Vampire. It just buries my Hounds, but they don't die because they have Burrowing. And my Ruby Core also gets buried because my Ruby Core was on my Avatar. Which means I'm not getting the mana from it, or the attunement doesn't matter, but I do go down a mana. And we're going to untap. We're going to draw for turn. So I got to decide with the Hounds whether I want to... Or, well, first, I should roll this Headless Haunt. Let's see at what point... oh, okay, yeah, no, I remember. 12. So that's a pretty good spot. That gives him an opportunity to hit for 4 on that Lighthouse. I gotta decide what to do with the Hounds. They can retrieve that Ruby Core for me. Or they could unburrow and hit again for 4. And at that point, I'm getting really close to putting him on Death's Door. But I decided to get that Ruby Core because I'm not in a position where I can play Sights again. And so I really... That Ruby Core, the mana there means a lot to me. I could like blink my Avatar because of the way Magellan Globe works. I could blink him onto the Cornerstone on tile 10 and then play a Sight on 9. But I could also blink my Pilgrim onto that tower. I remember playing this. I was like, I'm gonna blink the Pilgrim, draw for that, and he was like, I thought he already went to that corner, but I was like, oh no, my bad. I draw for the blink. All right, so I drew for the blink, and then I moved him left to hit the other corner. I drew a blink off blink, and now I draw Ruler of Thule off of hitting that corner. And now I'm just thinking, I have this other blink, and there's a Cornerstone up top. So I'm going to blink him up there, and I draw 2, one for the blink and one for hitting the corner. And this Magellan Globe has done a lot for me. And we just get 2 ghost ships, and it's like, oh, okay. I think... Like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with Pathfinder at this point, because I'm just, like, so far away from everything. And I did just use my blinks for draw and not for to move Pathfinder. So I pass. He untaps. Drew a spell for turn. And it looks like he's playing Captain Baldassare, who is really scared. So he can attack my bottom rows here. Right, that Magellan Globe is up. And so that Baldassare is in position to attack. We're going to roll this Haunt. We get a 10. That's good. That's another 4 damage right there. We're going to draw for turn. And that Aquamarine Core is actually exactly what I needed, because that will give me the second attunement to play, honestly, this Polymorph, this Ruler of Thule, this Atlantean Fate. We were really waiting for a second water. You see I add it right there. I'm like, got to make sure it's known. I got 2 water attunement. We come up with the Hounds and get the Ruby Core back. It won't give me mana this turn because it's not like it entered play this turn, and the turn has already started. But I'll have it for next turn. And... at first, when I first saw that Baldassare, I was thinking, yeah, I gotta, like, that's where I put Grim Reaper. Like, Grim Reaper's gotta, like, block that or something. Or, even, like, Ruler of Thule, maybe. But now that I have 2 water, I mean, I can get a good 2-for-1 with this Atlantean Fate. But yeah, I think we like swing with the Headless Haunt on that Cornerstone, bring him down to 4. We've done a lot of damage with these haunts throughout the game. I think that's like the 3rd swing with the haunt for 4, and then there was 1 more with the hounds. Or maybe it was 2 with the haunt, 2 with the hounds, but like they're at 4. Like 1 more of these swings puts them to death's door. And we just swing in with the Pilgrim because we can. And then, yeah, I think it's like always Atlantean Fate here. And we just get the Baldissaire, we get the Pudge. I don't want to let Baldissaire hit. Like, he discards 3, he gets to play my stuff. Albeit, I don't really mind letting my cards get discarded because, like, we're kind of a cemetery deck. But I don't want to let him play them. That sucks. Opponent draws a spell for turn. He gets a Land Surveyors, so he's going to draw a Sight. That's always nice. Then he plays a Disenchant on my Atlantean Fate. And the Disenchant actually also kills Magellan Globe, which kind of sucks for me, I guess, because my Pilgrims were loving him. And then he plays a Bedrock and passes. I'm going to untap, roll this Haunt, and he goes to tile 1. That's like pretty decent. That's a lethal, or not lethal, but like we can put him on death's door if we hit that Bedrock. Draw the 2nd Disenchant. That, again, not doing much in this matchup. At best, we're discarding it to Nimbus Djinn. And so now we're moving Pathfinder. I believe we're doing that to, well, now with the Magellan Globe gone, I'm a lot further away from his Avatar of Earth. I might just be trying to close the gap here, but also, getting just like in better range for Polymorph. I do have the 2 water attunement now. We're going to put him to Death's Door with the Headless Haunt. We could like maybe play something like Ghost Ship right now, like over on his Void. I think that's why I searched the Cemetery. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're playing the Ghost Ship, spending 6 on that. I do have a Haunt in my Cemetery. I know that. That might be it. Opponent draws a spell for turn. They have a Sight in hand, so they can play that. And a very good play. They play the Sight on Ghost Ship. So that doesn't count as Ghost Ship entering the site if a site just appears on it. It has to actually like move to enter it. So he kind of denies me that trigger. Plays another Frontier Settler for chumps. We got a 9 on this Headless Haunt. So he's not going to be doing much this turn. Philosopher's Stone is just cool. We'll play it. But then we see the writing in the wall here because they have 2 chump blockers. Right now, I've got the Ghost Ship over there. And this Ruler of Thule is what's going to like close the gap for me. These Hounds can use Airborne and like the Ruler of Thule ability to swing in on the Avatar of Earth. He chumps with something. And then Ghost Ship attacks, and then lastly, Ruler of Thule with that charge gets to ship in, and he'll have no chump blockers to block with the Avatar of Earth. And that will secure us game 2 against this very, like, I wouldn't, like, it was a fun brew of Avatar of Earth. This wasn't, like, you know, the competitive list that you're going to see in, like, Sorcery League. But this was actually my first time facing Avatar of Earth, so I felt pretty good about these games, and I had a lot of fun playing them. So, GG, opponent.